Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see the hall absolutely full, 300 people here for the next day and a half. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much for making the effort to come to Perth today. I know you're going to enjoy the next day and a half, and I hope you will get to know new people, reacquaint yourself with people that you do know, and take time to go and speak to our exhibitors and all the different supply chain professionals that are here as well. And a particularly warm welcome to our international visitors and guests who have come all the way today from New Zealand, India, and from Canada. And my friend Rob, who's on the train currently coming up from Shropshire as well. So thank you to all of you, and we look forward to hearing from you later. As Laura said, I have been reflecting with Laura, the board, and others in the team that Scottish Agritourism is 5 years old next June, and we will be having a massive party. We don't know what we're doing yet, but it will be big, on the 1st of June. And I would say that Scottish Agritourism has been like having a baby. We tried for years and nothing really happened. Eventually, we conceived. We gave birth. It's been difficult. It was painful. And we have gone through this kind of the difficult first years where you don't get much sleep when you change a lot of nappies. So I would like to use that analogy as we move forward and become 5 and hopefully grow up a wee bit, go to school. And Laura has done a fantastic job since she joined the organisation nearly 3 years ago. And I'm so pleased that she will be taking over the day-to-day running of the organisation. Well, she is already now, she probably is already now, but as we move into 2025, for me to focus on the national strategy and the Global Agritourism Conference. So here we go. We never thought in a million years when we put our ambition to hold the World Agritourism Conference in Scotland that it would happen in our kind of plan. So we had it in the national strategy that would have it by 2030, but it was one of these things in the national strategy that was it was just put in there as sort of the most audacious goal. We'll just throw it in. And I'm so delighted that the work that everyone did, a lot of people in this room helped with the bid. The National Strategy Board, our own board, members, destination leaders. And it was great to go to Bolzano in May, and the announcement was made that it was coming to Scotland. It felt like we'd brought the Olympics to Scotland, so we are so excited about it happening. This is what we did. We marketed Scotland like this. Basically, we told people this is what the sea looks like in North Uist. This is definitely what the food and drink looks like. So just to say that food and drink is going to be a big, massive part of it. Every meal that people will have, from breakfast to lunch, the places that are out on farms, will have the best of food and drink. And we're going to make sure people are well fed. We've got a commitment from the P&J in Aberdeen, where the conference will be held, that their chefs will work with our agritourism members to put food on the menus. There will be 1,000 delegates. That year, there will be 300 from Scotland. So this conference will roll into the June 2026 conference. So we won't have our own individual conference in November 26. We're expecting 200 farmers, researchers, economic development personnel, supply chain from the rest of the UK. We'll have 50 GAN leaders here, and everyone from the rest of the world. Every continent will be represented, and we expect 400 people will take part in a pre- or post-conference tour. That will be anything from 1 day, 3 days, up to 10 days. And we will go to every local authority area around the whole of Scotland. So we will be coming to see your businesses to showcase the fantastic quality businesses that we have in agritourism in Scotland. One of the reasons that we did win the bid was of the high quality of businesses and the network that we have, so we will be showcasing you. These are some of the businesses. This is when we were in Bellevue and Arran with Ailsa and Wick last year. And the Highland Show. So the Highland Show is the week before the conference. So the plan is that as many people will be invited to go and attend the Highland Show, and then the conference will start on the Tuesday after the Highland Show. And the Highland Show, RAS have given 100 scholars tickets. So these scholars, there'll be 100 people who are young people or people who could not otherwise afford to come to the conference will be given a ticket for both the Highland Show and the conference. In terms of our national strategy, this is all how it works together. So we have the National Strategy Board, and just, you know, we can't take that for granted. That did take 12 years to put in place, and it's fantastic to have the 3 enterprise agencies, Visit Scotland, Scotland Food and Drink, the Crofton Commission, us representing the private sector, the local authorities and the Scottish Government all around one table. And please be assured that the things that you tell us that are difficult in your business, the challenges you're having, whether it's at a local level or a national level, we are feeding those things into the National Strategy Board. It is a direct route into the people that make things happen. And they do listen, so it is really important. But it did take a while to put that in place, but it is really very beneficial to our sector to have all that together. And this is how we fit into the Global Agritourism Network. And our friends that have come internationally to visit us today over this week from India and New Zealand and Canada are all part of the Global Agritourism Network. We have ambition, as you know, to achieve certain things by 2030. The last time we really measured agritourism in any great kind of in-depth way was a couple of years ago when it was estimated to be worth £170 million. And that was a mixture of farm retail and agritourism. And we have a target that will be 250 million by 2030. And next year in 2025, there will be a survey in autumn, which again will measure the sector. And so it will be a lot shorter. I don't know if Frida Scott Park is here, but Frida will be delighted. It will be shorter than the last in-depth study we did, but really important questions that we need to ask you. So please take part in this and think about over the next, if you could think about now, starting to measure the visitor numbers that you have, your turnover, your investment that you're making in agritourism. If you start to measure that now, over the next 12 months, it'll be much easier capturing it. We have 2030 targets in terms of the number of farms and crofts in agritourism by that time. And I'd like to thank Visit Scotland for all their work in helping for us to work with them to identify who's out there in the sector and try and get as many people as possible to get their Visit Scotland listing done. And we'll hear more about this later from Vicky Millar, the Chief Executive of Visit Scotland. But you know, we're delighted that over 800 businesses are now officially in the sector in Scotland. And we want to continue to get to the 1,000 mark. But we must stay real. So these businesses have to be working farms or crofts. They have to be producing food or drink or fibre or fleece, it says here, but internationally they use the word fibre. So we're not going to not be core farmers. We need absolutely to be core farmers or crofters to be in agritourism. So while we want to achieve the 1,000 in there, they all must be authentic and proper. I'll not go through all the KPIs, but these are some of the things that we are measuring, the visitor numbers. On the visitor numbers, though, I'll just give one example. We did a benchmarking session at Loch Leven's Larder as part of the Monitor Farm recently. It was a fantastic day, and we had 8 of Scotland's farm cafes around the table. And their visitor numbers, the number of people coming to visit those farm cafe businesses, just from those 8, was 1.2 million people onto Scottish farms. And that's just from 8. So if you see here our targets to get to 2 million, and those 8 people are already at 1.2, we need to get our data together so we can demonstrate the millions of people that are coming to learn about their food and where it comes from on Scottish farms and the role that we can play in agritourism. So, sometimes agritourism is seen as we're all pretty happy, we're all pretty nice people, we're fun, we love to be together, and it is a great sector to be in. We love our sector, and sometimes it's great, you know, we all focus on everything going well, and in the main, people work really, really hard, juggling their farms, their crofts, and a tourism business, and most often things are going well. But I'm just going to outline in terms of the national picture what I think is going well and what I think is not going so well. So we have this strategy and focus, we're connected, we're knowledgeable, we're open and we share things, and we have a high profile internationally. We're bringing the Global Agritourism Conference to Scotland in 2026, and I think there'll be new farmers and crofters who'll be inspired to get into agritourism and farm retail on the back of that. We have a public-private partnership, which I mentioned, and we have our official numbers up over 800. But what do we not have yet? So we have those previous ingredients, but we are not there with the scale. We do not have the scale yet which other countries enjoy. We are not in the billions of pounds of economic development and impact to the rural economy that other countries the same size of us have a much, much bigger, larger agritourism sector, which is mainstream. People talk about agritourism in other countries as mainstream. We still don't have, I don't think, the recognition that agritourism can be a massive force for good in the rural economy. We don't have any specific policies for agritourism, and we'll hear later from Pandurang from India about how he lobbied the Indian government to have specific policies to help agritourism. I don't think we're totally taken seriously by the agriculture sector. I think some people see what we're doing, but we still have this image of being housewives that earn a few extra £1,000 a year doing B&B. We still have that image. We're not getting our message totally across. Maybe that's a controversial thing to say, but I think there's people in the agriculture sector who don't see what we're doing. There's been a big anti-diversification rhetoric coming out, particularly on social media south of the border, with the changes to subsidies. I think some people feel agritourism is anti, what you do when you're a failure as a farmer or you can't make enough money. And that is the case for some people, that they turn to agritourism to boost their income. But I think the rhetoric should be around a thriving farming enterprise and a thriving tourism enterprise on the farm. And we're, startup capital grants that we, as the last, I would say, of my generation, had over the last 20 years, just do not exist at the moment. There's not really much support to help young people get started. And then we go on to the budget. So I'll try and keep this cheery, but this bit is not so cheery. The current financial climate is really, really difficult. I don't think next year our business is 20 years old. I don't think it's ever been so challenging. And I've spoken to some of you who have phoned me over the past week who say that the national insurance increases will take between £20,000, £40,000, £60,000, £100,000 off your bottom line when they come in. People are worried. We are all worried. And if you're sitting here worried in isolation, please talk to other people in this room. It is a very, very challenging place to be. I've heard the other day of another agritourism business closing down. So it's not an easy place to trade at the moment. I'll not go through all these things here that are listed, but there's many policies that go against us. Remember, we've got the highest VAT rate in Europe. In other parts of Europe, they have 9% VAT. In some parts of Europe, they have a 5% VAT rate for agritourism. So it's a challenging picture. And please use the opportunity in the sessions of the panel sessions where we'll debate the future of the rural economy to stand up in those sessions and ask questions and have a good debate today about the challenges so that the government can hear both at a local and Scottish and UK level, about how difficult it is to do business at the moment. Tomorrow, we can't be in London to rally with farmers who are going there in their thousands about the proposed IHT changes to inheritance tax, but we invite you, for those of you who've brought your wellies, or even if you haven't brought wellies with you, to meet outside tomorrow morning at 8:45 to get a photograph to put on socials to show our support. And finally, data is key. Data is everything. So your data, given anonymously next year into our Growth Tracker survey, remember those 8 businesses with the 1.2 million visitors each year. We need to know how many people are coming onto farms, what size of turnover you've got, what employment you've got, because we need to demonstrate to those people, whether it's government, other people in agriculture, other people in tourism, and internationally, to benchmark against other countries to show that we need specific policies that will help us grow. We cannot do that without data. So my plea is to please share your data with us, and let's show that our sector can be 500 million and get into the billions in Scotland. We can absolutely do it. We can be a mainstream driver of the rural economy with your help. And the people in this room and the people watching at home will make it happen. So thank you very much for coming, and I look forward to seeing you and having good chats with as many of you as possible over the next couple of days. And please enjoy yourselves. Thank you.